Hey everyone. Today I'm going to talk about my top 5 go-to group therapy warm-up exercises or icebreakers. When I say icebreaker, people don't like them automatically. But these are engaging, not uncomfortable warm-up exercises that have been really beneficial for me for warming up a group for group therapy. This can also be used in team building or in a corporate setting if you're running like a work meeting or any type of group. I think as a teacher it would work too, maybe in youth spiritual organizations as well. But these are going to be my top 5 activities, and I'll also throw in one bonus one for if you have no material, because a lot of these might have some little props you might need. All right, for this first exercise, you will need some question cards. I got these, it was like 200 of them from the dollar store. They were literally called icebreaker question cards. That was a while ago. You can get any type of icebreaker question cards, or you can print some off online and cut them up. I would just say stick to kind of like lighter, sillier ones. This says, if you could have a famous artist create a portrait of you, who would you choose and why? What's the strangest food combination you've ever had? So things like that. I'm going to tell you guys 2 ways to use question cards, and there's a number of ways, but we'll stick with 2. So if you are running a group and it's like a group circle, it's a smaller group, maybe 10 people or so, or any less than 10, you will give everyone about 3 cards and you'll tell them to pick the question they like the most out of the 3. I'll also give them the option to swap them out if they need. And then I will model the behavior first. I will do the start of the exercise. So I will say, okay, everyone, so I want you to pick one question that you like. What you're going to do is when it's your turn, you will read the question to the group. You will answer it first, and then you will pick a group member to answer the same question as you. So I would read the question, what is XYZ? Oh, I think blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to choose someone in the room. Hey, Tony, I want you to answer that same question. I'm going to repeat the question. Now Tony's giving his answer to my question, and now it's Tony's turn. So Tony will pick one of his 3 questions. He'll read it to the group, he'll answer it, and then he'll choose someone that hasn't gone yet. And then it usually ends up back on the facilitator to ask the question. This one's fun because it keeps you engaged. There are, it's not just you're waiting to go in a circle. You don't know when you're going to go next. You can also kind of open it up sometimes depending on the size of the group and how comfortable you feel with it. But when someone's talking about a question and everyone's like, ooh, if it's like a superpower they would want, and you hear a lot of different things, maybe open it up to get a couple different ones. Also, if the icebreaker ends up going too fast and you feel like you need a little bit more time, you can then be like, okay, does anyone have one more really good one that the whole group can answer? And so then they can ask the question and everyone has to give an answer. And you can do that with a couple too. You can be like, any others? Or you can say, I have one, to close that out. The other way that I like to use these question cards, and this is a technique that I learned from Training Wheels, which is a team building company. It's called pair and share. So this is really helpful in larger groups where an icebreaker, where you're going in a circle and everyone's answering a question, is going to take way too long. So I would say like a group of 20 even a small group does work for this exercise. So this is also going to be a good one as an energizer. So it helps like moving around the room, things like that. Everyone is going to grab one question card. So I'll kind of put them out on a table. I'll say, go pick one, and they can find one they like. And I just want them to grab the card and take a seat. I will say in a moment, we're all going to stand up and we are all going to put our hands up in the air with our card. If you have your hand up in the air with the card, it means you don't have a partner. What you're going to do is you're going to find someone that is your partner. You are going to introduce yourself if you don't know them. Hey, my name's Becca. Hey, my name's Tony. I will ask my question to Tony. He will answer. Tony will ask his question to me. I will answer. Then we are going to swap cards and we will put our card back up in the air. And that means we are ready for a new partner. And I will say, at the beginning, I'll say try and meet as many people as you can. I really don't monitor it. I'm not like making sure that someone isn't talking to someone for too long. The cool thing about this is if they are having a good conversation, they can kind of stay in it. And if it's a little bit awkward, you have an out. You just put your hand up. So this is a pair and share technique that I've used with a lot of different activities, and it's pretty cool. One thing I would say about this exercise is that sometimes you need to explain it a couple times, or once the exercise starts, you'll see like people just immediately see questions and okay, we have to go find a partner, but then when they're done, they're like, wait, what do we do? And so I'm always kind of around checking out, okay, you're gonna switch cards, put your hand back up in the air, and then go find a new partner. This is a great one if you have a group of people that are brand new, maybe they struggle with some social anxiety. It's really nice to be able to get one-on-one with someone and ask a question, and you usually can find one person that you feel comfortable with or you relate to. After that exercise, I'll break us back up into the large group, and then I'll open it up for reflection on the exercise. Hey, how did it feel to, talk with someone one-on-one? Were you nervous at first? How did it end up going? How did you like having a goal in mind? Would you have been more nervous if I just said go and find someone new to talk to for 3 minutes? Because I've had to do icebreakers like that, and I felt so awkward. Like, I love the fact that you can have an out with this. I'll also ask, is there anything cool that came up, any fun fact, interesting fact that anyone wants to share? And, I'll get like kind of a couple chuckles, and then someone will be like, oh yeah, so-and-so said if they were invisible, they would rob a bank, something like that. But this can be a really great energizer exercise. And again, this tool of pair and share, if I'm not explaining it properly, please feel free to leave a comment and I will go more in depth. I'm new to making informational videos, so I don't know if I'm over explaining or under explaining. So yes, let me know if you have any more questions. All right, warm up number 2. This is called This or That. I have gotten this paper from a website called takingtheescalator.com, but you can use any sets of questions you want. It's basically like an either or. This exercise is a great way to start building group cohesion. It's cool whether it's a newer group or a group that's been together for a while. I wouldn't say this would be a great first exercise because it could get a little bit interesting. So it's called This or That, and how it works is the facilitator will read a question for whoever's turn it is. So let's say it's Bobby's turn. So I would say, okay, Bobby, I want the group to be prepared for this. I'm going to ask a question about Bobby, and the group is going to decide what they think Bobby's answer would be. Bobby's going to stay silent. So you'll have an A or B choice. So the first question on here is, Bobby gets some unexpected extra money. What is he more likely to do? Treat himself or treat someone else? So then I'll open it up to the group. I'll say, Bobby, don't say anything. And then I'll say, okay, group, what do we think Bobby would do? And I usually say why. So someone will be like, I think he would treat himself. And I'll go, okay, why? Because he has been working really hard. He deserves it, Someone will say, I think he would treat someone else. Okay, why do you say that? Because every time I've seen him, buy some food, he always offers it to someone, or he always buys me a vape, things like that. And it's kind of fun to sort of like go back and forth. And I'll even say, even if you don't know the person, it's okay, to kind of come up with a guess. It might be right, it might be wrong, we don't know. And as the facilitator, you can also choose to guess and kind of involve yourself. I sometimes like to, especially if it's not really like getting going super fast, I'll kind of be like, I don't know, I could sort of see Bobby doing this, or you want to react to different people, you want to try and help blend the groups together. Oh, I noticed so and so was yeah. Then you will go to the person, you'll say, okay, Bobby, what's the answer? And then Bobby will be like, oh, so and so was right, I would definitely treat someone else. So that's one of the questions. Then I would go to another. I would say, okay, who wants to go next? And usually this one I kind of like let them volunteer, but you could also just go in order. I don't always like to go in a circle just because sometimes if you're like the last one in the circle, you either have a lot of pressure of like waiting that whole time to go, or it's like boring. You're like, okay, when is it my turn? When is my turn? So I kind of like to do things. This is good because even when it's someone's turn, it's more interactive. You're getting the whole group involved. Another question here is, what does this person feel is worse? So if I said, okay, this question's for Liz, what does Liz feel is worse? People driving too fast or people driving too slow? And then you get a lot of cool answers, oh, definitely too fast because she, is worried about kids in neighborhoods or things like that. I usually use the 15 for a whole group, even if it's like a group of 20. I can repeat some. So that was this or that. All right, on to exercise number 3. Postcards, pictures. I call this metaphor cards, and this is an exercise that I also learned from Training Wheels that I've adapted a little bit to make my own. But these postcards are from them. They are called anchor piece postcards. But you can also get any set of photos. It's good to have like, I'd say 30 or 50. And what you're gonna do is you are going to scatter them on a table. I've also had to scatter them on the floor. So you've got like a wide range here. And you can use these cards in a number of different ways. I'm gonna go over 2 ways to use them. So first thing is you're going to scatter the cards, and everyone's going to come into the group room, or they'll already be in the group room, and you'll put the cards down. And you're going to say, I want you to think about how you're feeling right now, how you're feeling today, how your weekend was, any prompt you want, or sometimes I say how you're feeling about this group in particular, how you're feeling about being in a group. And then I want you to pick a photo that represents that. So the first way to do this exercise is everyone will take their photo, and then I'll have us go around and share on it. So again, as a facilitator, I like to model the behavior that I'm looking for. So I will say, hey guys, I'm Becca, and I picked the photo of the gears because I just feel like my mind is kind of all over the place, and I'm trying to get things in order and working smoothly. And that's it. So it's a quick kind of, you say your name and why you picked the photo, and then it'll be someone else's turn. Another way that you can do this is you have everyone choose the photo based on the same prompt, how you're feeling today or how you're feeling about this group. And then when it's their turn, what they'll do is they will hold up the picture to the group. They'll say, hey, I'm Becca, this is my picture. And I will have the group guess how that person is feeling based on their photo. And I'll say, there's it's no right or wrong answers. It's however you analyze it. We'll just see what we get out of it. So if I had this photo up, maybe a group member might be like, oh, it looks like she's climbing a ladder to nowhere and is stuck. Or someone might be like, oh, but they are, they have a lot of faith. They're still going. They're on the journey. Someone might be like, the sun is in this guy's eyes and it looks uncomfortable. And then after a couple people go, not everyone has to guess, but sometimes they get really into it and I have to actually like cut it off for time's sake. But then I will say, okay, Becca, why did you pick the photo? And I would be like, oh yeah, so I picked it because it's about continuing to climb and trusting the journey even though you can't see the top. And this person will usually like comment on, oh yeah, so-and-so's was close to mine, or wow, I actually got a new way to look at it. And everyone analyzes these and interprets these differently. That's why it's called metaphor cards. These cards in particular are really great. They have just a lot of cool images like puzzle piece. Then there's like a picture like this too, or this that says trust. And people come up with really cool metaphors for how they're feeling based on this. This is a great start to a group. It can also be a great way to close the group. So you can ask the group how they feel about that group, what they took away from it as a reflection piece. One last teensy tiny cool thing that you can do is after everyone has shared how they're feeling, so let's say someone picked this and they weren't feeling into it and everyone else picked how they're feeling, I will then have everyone put their cards back, and then I'll say, okay, now I want you to pick a photo that represents how you want to be feeling. And so then that same person that picked this may have picked this, which says trust. So This is a cool way to sort of try and help get them into that positive mindset. So even though they're feeling this way, this is where they'd like to be feeling. And you can even choose, like, if you want to set an intention based on this, like how you want to be feeling, you can like leave the cards out on a table or on the side of the room during the course of the group, and you can always like reference back to them of like, hey, are we acting out of this place, or are we acting, out of this place? So yeah, those are some ways to use metaphor cards. The next exercise, you're going to use a deck of cards, which is nice because most people have these. Also, a lot of facilities have them, treatment centers, mental health facilities. So this is kind of my go-to if I don't have anything on me. There are a couple different things you can do as warm-up activities with a deck of cards. There's actually a ton. You can Google a bunch, but I found a bunch of different ones that I love. So this first one is you will go into the group and you will lay all of the cards on the table. You will then ask the group, how risky are you feeling right now? Do you feel like taking a risk, or do you feel like kind of playing it safe? Either one is fine. I want you to think about that. Based on what you decide to do, you will then pick a card associated with that risk. The higher the card, the higher the risk. The lower the card, the lower the risk. So this is kind of cool already because, people don't really know what they're doing. They'll go stand next to someone. Oh, are you getting the oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to get a lower one. I'm going to get a higher one. And again, they don't know what's happening yet. I'll then say, go back to your seat. Then I will say to find someone in the room, pick a partner, or maybe I'll group them up into groups of 3 or 4. And I will say, based on the card that you picked, you have to tell your partner or your group this many things about yourself. So if you picked a 4, you played it safe, you only have to tell them 4 things about yourself. If you picked the Jack or a face card, you have to tell them 10 things about yourself. The Ace, I give them the option to play low or play high. And this is usually pretty fun. Another exercise that I found online, and I'm sorry that I cannot reference it right now. It might be from playing from a deck of cards. I don't have that actual book, but I know some of the exercises are uploaded online. But this is called Blackjack. It's not the game Blackjack. This is a warm-up about Blackjack. So this is a cool one if you have a lot of people and you also want to get people up and moving around. What you're going to do is you're going to give everybody a card, and they are going to hold that card up like this. They can see it and the whole group can see it, and you tell them to try and get the closest to blackjack that you can in the next minute. So everyone will try and partner up with people, and it's like, okay, we've got 10, we've got 15, we've got, oh no, you have a 9, that's way too much. And it's cool. It kind of even, depending on the group size, it kind of evens out. Some people can get up to like 18. Some people can get 21 really easy. Sometimes we'll get stuck and we have like 3 groups that have blackjack, but then we have like someone with a 5 and a 6, and I'll be like, guys, let's kind of split up and help them out, so that everyone can at least get, 15 or something. Another way you can adapt that, sometimes just that is enough. Like they're kind of like having fun with it, chatting. Another thing that you can do though, which I think is really fun, is that's the first round, is you're going to do it again. You're going to collect all the cards. You're going to give them a card now, but this time they can't see it, and they have to put the card like this, and the group has to guide them into the right spot to get blackjack. So if I have the card like this, you can't tell them what number they have, but you can say, okay, this person needs to go here. And usually by the end, they kind of figure out what number they have based on like where they've been placed. But it's cool because you need to work together to get into the group. You have to get help from someone to tell you where you need to go, where you should stand. And everyone is sort of feeling that same way. And yeah, those are some exercises that you can do with cards. All right, exercise number 5. So these here are called oracle cards, angel cards. A friend of mine gave them to me. You don't have to use these specifically, but I kind of just want to discuss the technique of them. I am not like a tarot card reader or anything. I just use them as a cool activity, or if I'm doing a group on spirituality. All of the messages behind it are positive and inspirational. but you can use other cards. I'm going to explain. So I will lay all of these cards out on a table, and I will ask them to pick a card. And with each card, there's a little message behind it. Now, with this in particular, I will say, you know, you can read into it as much or as little as you'd like. This doesn't have to be like, you know, your spirituality or anything. There's a positive message or intention behind it. With each card, there's a different message. Sometimes there's a short message or a long message. And what I will do is I will read the message for the person. I'll ask them, you know, how does that apply for you? Or can you relate that to anything that you're working on? I'll also open it up to the group. Hey, does anyone else like have another interpretation of that or see that in this person? People usually really love this exercise. I do want to mention, if people are very religious, I think there's some religions that it's frowned upon to like pull a card like this, so they might sit out of it. That's why I really give that disclaimer that like I'm not using this as a religious tool or anything. I wanted to show this technique because you can also get some affirmation cards, some positive affirmation cards, or any card that might have like a reading attached to it. But I've seen some cards where you just pull it and it says like, I am worthy, I am special, and it has a little message behind it. There's a number of different sort of positive message cards out there that you can utilize. But if you have angel or oracle cards or a daily reader or something like that, that's kind of a cool exercise. All right, the last bonus exercise that requires no equipment, and I will do this if I'm in a pinch and I really do not have anything physical. I like a lot of physical props and things, is interviewing. So this is especially helpful if it's a brand new group. So what I will do is I will have everyone find a partner in the room, and I will tell them that they need to interview them. And I'll give them a list of like 3 or 4 like really simple things. So one would be their name, where they're from, maybe how long they've been there if it's a treatment center, and an interesting fact about them. And I will also say, I usually just say a fact about them. I will say it doesn't have to be interesting. It doesn't have to be fun. It could be boring and really lame. I really like to just take the pressure off of it. It can be anything, because for some reason people hear fun fact and they're like nervous. But you're going to get with a partner. You're going to learn that information about your partner. They're going to learn that information about you. And then when we get back into the group, you are going to present your partner to the group. So if someone interviewed me, they would go, all right, hi everyone. I'm so-and-so, and this here is Becca. Becca is from Florida. She got here, 10 days ago. Interesting fact about her, she has 3 cats. And then then I would go and present on my partner. And that is a fun one for absolutely no props needed, and it's nice because you get to at least meet one new person in the group and share about them to the group, and now you have a buddy you can look for kind of throughout the group, and that is always helpful with brand new groups, especially in like a mental health or substance use facility when you're nervous and you've got someone, you broke the ice with someone. Okay everyone, I really hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please let me know in the comments. Like, genuinely, I am brand new to making these videos. I wanted a video like this for so long. I did so much research to kind of compile all of my group exercises, and now I have exercises for days. I have plenty of more icebreaker exercises. I also have like long, full-length activities for substance use and mental health, as well as team building, and I would love to share them with you and discuss how to adapt them and different things. And please let me know if you would like to hear them or if there's anything you're looking for in particular, and I will make it. So thank you guys. Like and subscribe. I can't believe I'm saying that, but cool.